Greetings, Acolyte. Today, in the Ordo Grigio, it's time we delve into the history of the Imperium. Our subject of discussion is the Dornian Heresy, specifically the rise and fall of the Blood Angels and their Primarch, Sanguinius. It is the 31st millennium. Humanity has reached out into the stars after the blackness of the Age of Strife. The Emperor's legions of Space Marines crusade to unite all of humanity under the banner of the Emperor of Mankind. One by one, the Emperor reunites with his lost sons, the Primarchs, genetically enhanced demigods who make the power of the Space Marines complete. Our story begins with one such of these Primarchs, Sanguinius, the Red Angel. When the Primarchs were first scattered by the dark forces of chaos, Sanguinius found himself lost and alone on the irradiated and polluted wasteland of Baal Secundus. Once, long ago, the moons of Baal had been home to technologically advanced human civilizations, though extended and brutal conflicts had long since removed any prosperity, and all that remained were scattered tribes scrounging amongst the ruins, seeking merely to survive. As the land was so polluted by the remains of chemical and biological warfare, mutation was rife amongst the populace of Baal Secundus, with roaming tribes of the Changed, as they now call themselves. Their humanity was slowly stripped away, replaced only by the need to survive, gaining sustenance wherever they may, even from the corpses of those who had lost the fight for survival. Starvation and plague were not the only dangers to these Changed, as they were constantly hunted by the Faceless Ones, bands of warriors who scoured the surface, protected by radiation suits and mirrored helms, though underneath they too were human. The mirrored ones were filled with an instinctive and insatiable need to purge the surface of anyone who fell victim to the plagues and mutations of Baal's second moon. As Sanguinius crashed into the moon, he lay naked in the wastes, small stubby wings protruding from his back. He was first discovered by a band of wandering Faceless Ones who judged him a mutant, an abomination, and they decided to slay him where he lay. Thankfully for the young Primarch, the party of Faceless Ones were ambushed by our war party of the Changed. The Faceless Ones were driven off, and the young Primarch was adopted by the Changed who saved him. Their hatred of those who would hunt them purely for existing carried within the Primarch's twin beating hearts. As Sanguinius grew, so too did his strength. Despite wearing no protection from the contamination of the moon, he bore no ill effects and thrived in environments where many others would falter. Over time, the stubs of wings grew into plumes of pure white, carrying him across the battlefield and allowing the Primarch to rain death on his foes. His prowess in battle and sheer strength of will inspired fear in his enemies, gaining him the title of the Bloody Angel. From across the surface, tribes of Changed flocked to the banner of Sanguinius, as if he was the only hope they had left of surviving the war against the Faceless Ones. Sanguinius led them back to Angel Falls, where he had first been saved from the Faceless Ones, though a mighty army of Faceless Ones were also gathering to exterminate the mutants once and for all. At first light, Sanguinius' forces, trained by the young Primarch in the ways of war, unleashed righteous devastation upon their enemies, and, despite being outnumbered 5-1, drove the forces of the Faceless Ones back. The Changed ate well that night. The victory at Angel Falls broke the myth of the invincible Faceless Ones, and Sanguinius was determined to make sure they would never rise to dominance again. He and his forces scoured the moon's surface, hunting down any Faceless Ones they encountered. Mirrored helms with their visors smashed and rad suits taken as trophy were deposited at the base of the cliff at Angel Falls, a shrine to Sanguinius' campaign of blood. Soon, Sanguinius and his honor guard closed in on the last stronghold of the Faceless Ones. They were held up in a bunker complex, left over from the Great War that killed the surface of the moon. No bulkhead, no battlement, no defences would be enough to save them from Sanguinius' rage. He was the Bloody Angel of Vengeance, and he would drink his fill. This was, alas, until the biological weapons of the bunker were triggered. Lethal pathogens and vile biological agents swept across the surface, dissolving flesh and killing the changed in an instant. These agents even managed to incapacitate the great Primarch himself, causing him to fall into paralysis and his mind left to wander in fever dreams. It was in this state where Sanguinius found himself between the world of the living and that of the dead. He was granted a vision of the Emperor of Mankind, greeting him as his long-lost son. But over time, the joy of the reunion was sullied as the Emperor grew to detest his mutated son, Sanguinius' heart breaking as he witnessed the massacre of his people at the Emperor's hands. Quietly at first, but growing steadily louder, Sanguinius heard a voice in the darkness. It called to him. It spoke of a great garden, where people like Sanguinius were welcomed. It whispered promises of salvation. It bore promises of revenge on the Emperor for what he would do to Sanguinius' people. When pressed, the voice revealed its name, Nurgle. The Emperor was an enemy not to be defeated through strength of arms, but through sedation and guile. In these fever-induced visions of the past, present, and future all melded together, a plan was formed and a pact sealed. Sanguinius would be the dutiful son. He would win glory in the Emperor's name, until the time was right. On the day of the Emperor's arrival, Nurgle cloaked Sanguinius, so all who saw him saw a pure angel, a being of true beauty, noble in appearance and deed. The Emperor even reportedly proclaiming it astounding Sanguinius had grown, a pure soul, unsullied in a world of mutant cannibals. This remark tore at Sanguinius' soul. He held back, waiting for his time. Sanguinius was granted control of the 9th Legion of Space Marines, soldiers designed on the genetic material of Sanguinius himself, and they were to be his gene sire and his legion. The first tasks the Terran-born soldiers of the 9th were given was to acclimatise Sanguinius to civilization, and to purge the mutants on the moon, to make room for Imperial settlers who would become the new recruiting stock for Sanguinius' forces. And there ends our first lesson on Sanguinius, the Bloody Angel, and his discovery by the Emperor of Mankind. Join us next time as we join Sanguinius across the Great Crusade and into the Dornian Heresy itself. With that said, this is quite different content to what you may have seen on the channel before, so let me know what you think down below in the comments, or if you have any other lore suggestions, let me know. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.